Hi, this is Ron with Wind River Outdoor Company, and today we're going to be tying the Hothead Soft Hackle sow. For those that fish tailwaters this time of year, you know how important sows and scuds are. We're going to show you a pattern that we use on the bighorn a lot that's very effective for us. So first, let's go over some of the supplies that you're going to be needing today. First is the hook, and we're going to use the Hackle Competition, the H310BL. It's a black nickel with the extra long needle point. Very sharp, very good. You're not going to have any problems with this hook ever. For the bead, today we're using the Hairline Plummeting Tungsten bead in fluorescent orange. The thread is, I'm actually using 6/0 fluorescent orange by Unithread. This is the 8/0, but I'm actually using 6/0 because it's a little bit bigger. And we're tying a size 12. Even though these scuds do get big, I'm tying a little bit bigger than maybe I normally would. Just, it's easier to video, but again, size for proportion. The really only thing that you need to change is if you change the hook size to smaller, you'll need to go to a smaller bead and thus the smaller thread. For dubbing, we're using the Light Shade Rainbow Sow Bug Scud Dub by Hairline. This has got some red, gray, pinkish tinge to it. Really good. This stuff is really shaggy as well, so make sure you have a low tack wax or wax thread that you can work this down to a little finer dubbing diameter on the thread. And then for the soft hackle portion, we'll be using the Whiting Hen Hackle. This is an pale watery dun, and again, all of these items are available on the website. Down below you'll see a recipe with a link to our website where all these products can be found. So with that, this is a fairly simple pattern to tie, and again, if you're fishing tailwaters any time of the year, these sow bugs and scuds are active all year, but especially during the spring, winter, and late fall months, I've found this pattern to be extremely productive in this lighter style and a soft hackle with the firebead head. So let me get everything set up and then we'll get going. All right, we're back. And as you can see, I've got the bead on. Remember, countersunk beads have a small hole in the front and a bigger diameter hole in the back. Make sure that the hole that's going to the eye of the hook is the small size. That way it preserves the space for your tippet on the eye of the hook. So to get started, again, this is, remember, this is size 12. It's on the bigger size. Actually, I tie these up to a size 10, believe it or not. There are some sow bugs and the bighorn that are that big. And sometimes I think having a little bit bigger pattern sometimes draws a little bit more attention. But so I'm going to get the thread going here. Again, I'm using an orange thread to match the bead, and it's just a quick tie-in. Now, if you remember, if anybody uses lead or material onto this, is if you tie lead in, remember to bind it real well and then seal it. Otherwise, that lead will discolor this fly, and when the whole point of this is to have a very light styled fly, but it will discolor if the lead bleeds out. So anyway, we're going to wind this back. We're going to go back fairly far, and then I'm going to start off pretty sparse and try to get this dubbing as tight as we can on the thread, and we'll have to reload this thread several times. But the nice thing that this orange thread kind of does is I kind of go forward until I use up some of that space. This orange thread is this dubbing becomes wet, it becomes a little bit transparent, and it almost has a translucent effect, and the orange kind of becomes almost ribbing look to it. And we've found that in the past I've used black thread and I've used all sorts of different colors, tan, white, but I like when this dubbing becomes translucent, you can kind of see that the orange dubbing almost becomes a ribbing within it and looks really good. So we're getting close here to kind of finishing out, and you just keep layering this on as we go forward. Okay. So as you can see, as this gets pretty shaggy, and this is the time you want to go through and kind of, you don't want to cut it tight, but trim it up a little bit. Again, you're not giving it a real serious haircut, but sow bugs have kind of just a bunch of legs, and having that spiky appearance, I think, really really does it well. Sets the pattern apart. So, all right, so we're going to use again a hen hackle at this point by whiting. This is the pale watery dun, and I've pulled one off. Remember, is you want to pick off all this webbing, so you're going to pull all of the webbing off and kind of get down to where your fly, or where the feather looks a lot like that. Now remember, is we're going to tie this wet style, meaning that the fibers are going to go back over the back of the hook. This would be a dry fly style where the feathers, it's bending to the front. That's dry fly style. When you tie it to the back like that, that is wet fly style. So I'm going to just quickly tie this in so you can see it. Give this a quick clip off. Again, you can't underestimate the importance of a pair of really good scissors. These Needlepoint by Dr. Slick, very sharp. They're small, they're accurate, they can get in there tight and clip things right down next to the thread for really close, delicate work. So highly suggest you get a pair. And remember, don't cut wire with these. Have a special pair of sacrificial pliers if you're cutting wire, because you will dull the point or the cutting edge. So we're going to wrap forward. We're just going to give 2 quick wraps with this. I'm just using a simple hackle plier, and I'm just going to layer this up. There's one. I'm going to fold the fibers forward and make one more wrap. And kind of fold them forward again, and then just quickly tie that off. Again, we're interested in sparse. We're not interested in getting this thing to float. So obviously with the this is a subsurface pattern. Again, we're going to go in and careful not to cut your thread. Cut it in tight, and as you can see, is there you have some of that soft hackle sitting up. Now this is the final stage. Is I always put just a slight bit of dubbing in front of that hackle to keep it pointed back, and you really have to work this stuff down. Sometimes it pays to get your fingers wet. Again, if you're using waxed, you want to use a low tack wax. All right, so got a little bit too much dubbing on there. I'm just going to pull that off. All right, so there is trim some of that dubbing out. So there is the fly, more or less. I'm going to give it a quick whip finish. Give it 4 and tie it in. Give it a little snug, and just a quick snip of the thread, and just trim off a couple stragglers again. And then I would get a dubbing needle or a bodkin and just a light dab of head finish. I use the Hard as Hull by Hairline. Good look, good stuff, works really well. Haven't had any issues with it. But you would just put a slight dab right here on the bead, let it soak in. And as you can see, there is the pattern. And again, as you can trim up some of these wilder fibers, you want to make sure that you don't trim the hackle. You want to leave those hanging out, but that is the pattern. And like I said, that hook by Hackle is it's a beefier hook. You're not going to have fish pulling these things straight or breaking them off at the bend. In fact, I've never had a Hackle hook fail on me, and we fish a lot of these, so it's a good quality hook. Fair price. They come in quantities of 25, so you can mix and match and have a good selection of hooks for not very much money. And I think I want to say for 25 it's $4 or $5 and well worth it, and they are needle sharp, so my hands can attest to it. But anyway, that is the soft hackle sow bug, the light version. There is a dark version. The only thing that would change is the color of the soft hackle or the dubbing. It's a little bit darker phase. But that we use this extensively on tailwaters this time of year. Again, late fall through the winter and into spring. This hot head, we'll mix that up. Sometimes it's fire orange to a metallic pink. We always match the thread with the color of the bead. And like I said, this dubbing has a little bit of translucence when it gets wet, and some of that thread will show through and look like a little bit of segments. So very buggy, very effective pattern. But anyway, soft hackle sow bug, the hot head version from Wind River Outdoor Company. Again, tight lines. Catch us next week on the next pattern. Have a good day. Skeena, what is that? What is that? What is that? It used to look like this. What is that? Are you a naughty girl? The thing about gloves, Skeena, is you need a pair. So now what do I do with this one? So naughty. Yeah, and you don't help either. The two of you need to stop it.